The night is silent, except for the wind. It cuts through the trees like a living thing, cold enough to freeze the air in your lungs. Snow piles against the walls of a small shelter made of bark, hides, and earth. Inside, a family huddles close, their breath glowing faintly in the dark. There are no sleeping bags, no matches, no modern gear. Just knowledge, ancient, tested, and passed down through generations. Long before insulated jackets and electric heaters, Native American tribes faced nights like this. Nights so cold, they could take a life in hours. Yet somehow they not only survived, they thrived. How? What secrets did they know about warmth, shelter, and the balance between body and nature that we've forgotten today? Tonight, we'll step into their world, from the frozen plains to the icy tundra, to uncover how these tribes conquered the coldest nights using only what the land provided. By the end, you'll understand how their wisdom still guides modern survivalists, and maybe even learn something that could save your own life one day. But to truly grasp their secrets, we have to go back hundreds of years, to a time when every night was a gamble, and every breath in the cold was a victory. To understand how they survived, we first need to understand the world they faced. Long before skyscrapers and city lights, winter was not just a season. It was a test of life itself. Across North America, the land transformed into a frozen battlefield. On the Great Plains, blizzards swept across open grasslands with no mercy. In the Rocky Mountains, snow piled higher than horses. Farther north, the Inuit faced darkness that lasted for months, where the sun itself seemed to vanish. For Native American tribes, survival wasn't about fighting nature. It was about understanding it. Every sound, every gust of wind, every patch of ice told a story. They studied the land like a teacher, learning where warmth could be found and how to create it when there was none. But their survival was more than luck or strength. It was knowledge. Passed from elder to child, this wisdom shaped tools, homes, clothing, and even beliefs about the spirit of the cold. And when the temperature dropped to deadly lows, this knowledge became their shield. So how did they build shelters that could hold back the freezing winds? What materials could trap heat in the heart of winter? Let's step inside one and see how it worked. When the cold struck, the first line of defense was not fire, it was shelter. The tribes understood that warmth began with design, not flame. Every tribe, every landscape, demanded a different kind of home, shaped by the land itself. On the Great Plains, where icy winds rolled for miles, tribes like the Lakota built tipis, tall, cone-shaped shelters covered with thick buffalo hides. The slanted sides didn't just look elegant, they sliced through the wind instead of trapping it. A small fire could heat the entire space, and smoke rose cleanly through an opening at the top. At night, families gathered close inside, the walls glowing orange from the flicker of the flames. Farther north, the Inuit crafted miracles from snow itself, igloos. To the untrained eye, snow seems fragile, but packed correctly, it becomes an excellent insulator. Inside an igloo, temperatures could rise to just below freezing, warm enough to survive, even thrive. The blocks were cut at angles so precise they locked together without tools. A small lamp fueled by seal oil provided light, heat, and comfort through endless nights of darkness. In the forests, tribes like the Ojibwe and Algonquin built wigwams, domed shelters made from bent saplings and layered with bark, grass, and moss. These natural materials breathed just enough to keep moisture out and warmth in. When snow fell, it added another layer of insulation, sealing in the heat even more. Some tribes went further still, digging partially into the earth to build earth lodges, half-buried homes that used the ground itself as a shield against the cold. The deeper they dug, the more constant the temperature became. What's remarkable is how every design, from snow domes to hide tents, followed one principle: work with the environment, not against it. They didn't try to beat the wind, they redirected it. They didn't waste heat, they contained it. In a world without metal nails or glass windows, these structures were feats of engineering, living proof that survival comes from wisdom, not technology. And once the walls held back the cold, the next challenge began: creating heat that could last through the night. That's where the fire, and the sacred art of heat, begins. Shelter could hold back the wind, but without heat the night could still take a life. For Native American tribes, fire was more than warmth. It was protection, spirit, and life itself. They treated it with respect, almost as if it were alive. In the heart of a teepee or wigwam, a single flame had to do everything: cook food, give light, and keep frost from creeping in. But building that flame was an art. There were no lighters, no dry matches. Every spark came from skill: flint striking stone, or the steady rhythm of a bow drill, twisting wood against wood until smoke rose. When the first ember glowed, it wasn't just survival. It was ceremony. The tribes knew how to make the most of every bit of heat. They used heated stones, pulled straight from the fire, and buried them beneath sleeping mats made of grass and hide. The warmth radiated through the night, long after the flames had faded. In some regions, stones were placed inside clay pots to create primitive heaters, simple, effective, and safe from open sparks. Even the fuel was chosen with care. Dry willow, cedar, and birch each burned differently, some for quick light, others for long, steady warmth. The smell of burning cedar was believed to cleanse the air and drive away spirits of sickness and fear. Far to the north, the Inuit discovered a different kind of flame: the kulik, a shallow stone lamp filled with seal or whale oil. Its wick, made of moss or dried cotton grass, burned slow and bright. In homes carved from snow, that little lamp gave off enough heat to melt the ice just slightly, creating a thin glaze that trapped even more warmth inside. Fire was never left alone. It was tended through the night, guarded like a heartbeat. To lose the flame meant to invite death. Through generations, the knowledge of fire became sacred, a lesson in patience, respect, and connection with the elements. But even with the strongest fire, warmth wasn't complete without protection for the body itself. Next, we uncover the third secret: the power of clothing. Community and shared warmth. Even with shelter and fire, the cold still found its way in. It crept through the cracks, bit at fingers, and stiffened breath. The final barrier was the body itself, and how it was protected. Native American tribes mastered this art long before the word insulation was ever invented. On the open plains, buffalo hides were everything. Thick, heavy, and lined with soft inner fur, they became robes, blankets, and bedding all at once. Hunters wore the hides with the fur facing inward, trapping body heat like a natural thermal layer. When snowstorms hit, a well-wrapped buffalo robe could mean the difference between waking up or never waking at all. In the forests, tribes like the Ojibwe and Cree layered rabbit and deer skins, stitching them with sinew and soft bark fiber. The more layers, the more pockets of warm air trapped between them. Even their moccasins were stuffed with dried grass, nature's insulation, lightweight yet warm. Farther north, the Inuit perfected cold-weather clothing unlike anything else on Earth. They stitched parkas from caribou and seal fur, with every seam sealed tight to keep out wind and moisture. Caribou fur is hollow. Each strand holds heat inside, acting like thousands of tiny air chambers. To this day, scientists say few materials can match it. But warmth wasn't just about what they wore. It was about who they were with. Families slept close, sharing heat under hides and furs. In some tribes, small sleeping circles formed, the youngest and weakest placed at the center. Community became insulation, warmth born from unity. Even rituals reflected this truth. Songs, dances, and shared stories filled the long nights, keeping hearts strong and spirits alive. They believed that fear made the cold stronger, that courage and connection could keep a person warm when the fire grew dim. Their wisdom was simple, but profound. Warmth begins in the body, but survival begins in the heart. With bodies protected and fires steady, there was still one more secret to their endurance, a source of strength that came from deep within. For Native American tribes, warmth wasn't only a matter of temperature. It was a balance between body, spirit, and the world around them. The body needed fuel. In winter, food became energy, the fire that burned inside. Tribes learned to eat for endurance, not just fullness. Fat-rich foods like bison, seal, and fish oil were prized for their slow-burning heat. The Inuit called fat white gold, and for good reason. A single serving could keep the body warm for hours. Some tribes made pemmican, a powerful mix of dried meat, fat, and berries that lasted for months. It wasn't just a meal. It was survival in a pouch. But survival wasn't only about eating. It was about believing. The cold could break a person's body, but despair could break the soul. Through the darkest nights, tribes turned to ritual and spirit to stay strong. Songs echoed through the wind, drums thumped like heartbeats, and prayers rose with the smoke of the fire. Every flame was sacred, a connection between the earth below and the sky above. For many tribes, winter was a teacher. It demanded humility, patience, and respect for nature's balance. The Lakota told stories of White Buffalo Woman, a spirit who brought wisdom and peace through hardship. The Inuit shared tales of Sedna, the sea goddess who controlled the animals, a reminder that every gift from nature came with gratitude. Even children were taught not to fear the cold, but to understand it. They learned to breathe calmly when frost burned their faces, to move slowly to preserve heat, and to trust in the rhythm of the land. When body, mind, and spirit worked as one, no night was too cold to endure. Their secret wasn't just in how they survived. It was why they survived. For them, every sunrise after a freezing night wasn't luck. It was harmony. And when dawn finally came, it wasn't just light that returned. It was life itself. That same dawn still rises today over the same frozen plains and mountains where their fires once burned. The world has changed, but the lessons they left behind have not. Their story doesn't end with survival. It continues every time we face the cold, the dark, or the unknown. As the first light of dawn touches the snow, the land seems reborn. The fire smolders low, smoke curling into the pale sky. Inside the shelter, the people stir, warm, alive, and grateful. They have faced the coldest night, not with fear, but with wisdom older than memory itself. What kept them alive wasn't luck. It was knowledge, built from observation, patience, and respect for every force of nature. From the buffalo hide that held in heat, to the igloo that turned snow into shelter, to the flame that carried their prayers, every act was a lesson in balance. In a world where technology often separates us from nature, their survival reminds us of something timeless. We endure best when we live with the world, not against it. Their secrets were never really secrets. They were truths hidden in plain sight. Warmth comes from the land, from the fire, and from each other. So the next time the wind bites and the night feels endless, remember this. They survived, not because they conquered the cold, but because they learned to live within it. And that ember, their knowledge, their resilience, still glows in us today. Every survival trick, every outdoor skill, every lesson about endurance traces back to those who first faced the cold with courage and respect. So, which of these ancient survival secrets surprised you most? Could you last a night in that kind of cold? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into the wisdom of the past, give this video a like and subscribe for more stories of human endurance and ancient knowledge that still shape our world today.